Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I am Elizabeth Omori. The federal government says it will no longer tolerate attempts to inflict injury on its football fortunes, describing sport as a major tool for national unity, which must be safeguarded and treated as a national asset. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this while receiving a 10 master plan and roadmap for the development of football in Nigeria. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The Football Development Master Plan 2022 to 2032 is a deliberate attempt by the Buhari presidency at reversing the gradual decline in the development and administration of Nigerian football, which resulted in the national team struggling to make progress at international competitions. The document, now a guiding instrument for the administration of the game in the country, is a product of wide consultations amongst the best brains in the game, experienced technocrats, and other critical stakeholders.
The master plan will encapsulate functional strategies that will outlast this current administration, will set firmly in place the Nigerian football on a path of sustainable growth and development, and this, Mr. President, will be a legacy, and we thank you for your vision.
President Muhammadu Buhari expressed regret that in the past years, Nigeria's football development has stunted due to what he attributed to the neglect of the co-orientation of his administration, weak governance structure around Nigeria's domestic league, and compromised standards.
This government is interested in developing a football culture that will help the nation to lay a solid foundation for her domestic football. Put in place professionally and efficiently run leagues, entrench a consistent and stable football calendar, and create a value chain which will boost the sports ecosystem. Nigeria's football development must return to the path of focus on grassroots and youth development, and an overall good governance structure around every level of its development. Nigeria now expects results.
The master plan, he said, presents to the world the seriousness and commitment of Nigeria to football development, and therefore directed the Nigeria Football Federation to own and faithfully implement the various stages enumerated in the document within time limits and in line with the aspirations of Nigerians.
I believe this will signal a positive turning point for our football and a major step forward in our bid to create a conducive environment for its sustainability and viability. Football is our #1 sport in Nigeria. It is our passion and a major tool for our unity, and so as a government, it is our responsibility to safeguard it and treat it as a national asset.
The Nigeria Football 10-year Development Master Plan has submitted by the 16-man committee headed by Ibrahim Galadima identified 15 key areas of challenge and provided practical recommendations to address these fundamental problems that have bedeviled football development in the country.
It is our hope and prayer that this work will assist government in fashioning out a comprehensive program for the development of football to the satisfaction of our youths and generality of Nigerians.
Once there is equitable representation in the Congress of the Nigeria Football Federation, then the opportunities for players would show up. Right now it is lopsided, and I want to just appeal that the NFF should take the advice of the president to look into those issues very seriously.
The Nigeria Football Federation, now a custodian of the master plan, has a presidential mandate to particularly salvage domestic league and ensure that competent men and women are elected to run its affairs, even as the federal government promised to match its political will with the right laws and investments. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
To bilateral relations, President Muhammad Buhari has granted audience to the Indian Minister of State for External and Parliamentary Affairs, Ghulam Haram, at the State House. President Buhari, who is an alumnus of India's Defence Services College, recalled that the 1,973 visits as good experience to buttress the strong relationship between the two countries. President Buhari said the Nigerian Defence Academy was established by Indians and the two countries have firm relationship economically, politically, and in the area of security. He added that Nigeria and India must continue to build a long-lasting relationship to benefit both countries. The Indian minister will be participating at the Nigeria-India Business Council and has described Nigeria's center of engagement with Africa. India is willing to partner Nigeria towards successful general elections in 2023. Aviation security, the air component of Operation Hardin Kai, has carried out airstrikes on terrorist enclaves in Sambisa Forest and the Tumbans in Borno State, including ISOP leader and Shekau ally Fiyaba Yoram's enclave. When contacted, the NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapkwe, confirmed the strikes, stating that strikes were carried out on some specific targets in the Tumbans and Sambisa, with varying degrees of successes recorded. The NAF wouldn't, however, be drawn into details of those neutralized. The need for an effective leadership in states to fish out bad eggs, colluding with criminal elements to heighten security challenges across the country, has been re-emphasized. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria stated this while assessing the role of state governors in tackling security challenges. Lydia Sampson reports.
Kogi State Yahaya Bello is known for not mincing words. He recalled when he assumed office in 2016 and strategized on a unified security theme instead of what he made with security operatives working in silos. He acknowledged that though a lot has been achieved, but the security issues are still thorny.
Whoever is ready to bring the peace and security of our people, I am ready to step on that too, in order that the lives and livelihood of the majority of the people are secured. What we are witnessing today is politics and long decay in the system.
As governors face with competing demands, the governor notes with concern that the security challenges differ across states, stressing that some have political undertones. For the security experts, governors can influence the outcome of security through a formidable political will. They decry situations where some governors overheat the polity with unguarded utterances. The guests called for more sustainable peer reviews and synergy among the states to promote information sharing on criminal elements.
Governors must be responsible for security. They must start the building blocks from this local, ward level, local level up to the states. Their governance must be seen to be governance, and they must be fair, firm to everybody and just. The rule of law must be in place so that nobody is seen to be above the law.
But beyond that, we must also look at some of these things I've mentioned, the infrastructure, the strategy, because all that matters is sustainability. His Excellency at a particular time will leave that position. What has he left, in terms of infrastructure and strategy that his successor will carry on?
The state governments are strategic to curbing insecurity in the state by domesticating security policies as well as holistic implementation of strategies. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
To Aviation, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the new Terminal 2 of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport is a new experience for travelers in and outside Nigeria. The minister stated this shortly after a guided tour of the terminal. Anthony Folsom reports.
The Mohammed International Airport is Nigeria's gateway, whose history dates back to pre-colonial times. The current international airport was built and commissioned about 40 years ago. having gone through renovation and expansion, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed was on ground to have a first-hand feel of the new terminal conducted around the check area, passport control, immigration desk, screening machines, the 6 boarding gates and boarding areas.
This morning we are going to go to the check-in area. The check-in area which is central screening to the boarding gates to arrival back to the stores.
With the state-of-the-art facilities, it can process 40 million passengers per annum. The minister, who is not a stranger to the ecosystem, said this administration is living up to its promises.
I must confess, this has been a very exciting experience for me. And what we went through this morning is comparable to any experience obtainable anywhere in the world.
He, however, cleared the air that the new terminal is not a replacement to Terminal 1.
Rather, it was built to complement it. That is why we were told during our tour that we could check in at one terminal and board at the other terminal. So there's a handshake between the 2 terminals.
It is the expectation that travelers in and out of Nigeria will have a smooth sail. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Away from aviation, the federal government has inaugurated a 14-member ministerial task force expatriate quota administration committee. Foreigners for mutual benefit is the tag for the inauguration, which was performed by the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbesola. The policy will attract investments to the economy and also bring about high-level manpower development to ensure technology transfer, which is in line with the federal government's agenda of providing 100 million jobs for Nigerians.
The activities of foreigners in your territory, when it is well followed, it fosters healthy economic, social, and cultural relationship among nations. In addition, it provides an effective means of documenting foreigners' presence, their activities, and ensuring their protection and well-being.
Foreign expatriates without approval from the ministry, obtaining fake permits for experts, not growing Nigerians with incommensurate remuneration formed part of the mandate. The committee is expected to provide ways of boosting the nation's economy by providing job opportunities for Nigerians, especially the youthful population. Now, academic activities have resumed officially at Kaduna State University, with students of the institution currently writing exams. Our correspondent will be joining us in the course of the bulletin. We now join our studio in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Over now to Adeola. Thanks for staying with us. We will be joining Lagos in the course of the bulletin, but we'll move on. Scientists at the just concluded AIDS conference in Montreal, Canada, want world leaders to ensure every individual has access to HIV treatment of choice, devoid of discrimination and stigmatization. They noted that ending AIDS by 2030 is possible but requires collective responsibility. Basi Taikman reports that Nigeria's achievements in HIV response and treatment were presented to the world by Nigerian scientists.
1988, International AIDS Conference has grown to global conference. The yearly AIDS Conference brings scientists and researchers from across the world together to galvanize scientific response to HIV, build global solidarity, and create human dignity for a community of people living with HIV.
And science is edging us closer to a cure. Without financial investment, this will not happen.
Until everyone has access to the best that science can offer, we will never end this or any future pandemic. Together we can.
there needs to be action now. And I think the main thing about this is that when we talk about ending AIDS by 2030, what are we really doing to address stopping HIV transmission? U equals U needs to be implemented everywhere, immediately now.
Nigeria was well represented at various sessions. Dr. Akudo explained Nigeria's situation on the new long-active antiretroviral drugs, which give people living with HIV choices to treatment.
For us in Nigeria, for example, which is a very large country, when you think from a patient perspective, so there are questions that ministries of health may not be able to answer at the moment. So what are the implications for me? How does this affect me in terms of the efficacy? Is this going to work for me? If there are issues around resistance, how do I switch?
Some Nigerians also spoke on their experience and their take home.
We now know how we can better engage those who are left behind, new approaches to resolving issues, new strategies to actually address issues that the country is facing.
Actually, we are taking best practices in terms of the new treatment guidelines and also community engagement, especially in ensuring that more people are placed in treatment.
New scientific discoveries on HIV intervention and response were presented with a resolve to ending HIV by 2030. Basi Taikba, NTA News.
And it's time to head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by with some reports from her zone. Nice to see you, Adeola.
Nice to see you too, Elizabeth, and welcome to Lagos. Climate change is a burning issue on the global scene. Carbon emission is one of the culprits that aggravate extreme weather conditions, and the federal government has taken measures to address the problem through the introduction of a global clean tech innovation program. Kehinde Adebisi reports that the 3-year project is in collaboration with UNIDO and other key players in the clean tech ecosystem.
Climate innovation and entrepreneurship is set to play a critical role in climate action by supporting the transition towards sustainable economies as well as create room for new green industries. However, the emergence, development and deployment of clean tech innovation is faced with several challenges. Some of these obstacles the Global Clean Tech Innovation Program seeks to resolve through direct support, development and strengthening of clean tech innovations and entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Are working with them to try and support them in order for them to scale up their business, try to find and to market their solutions. So really the idea is supporting entrepreneurs, clean tech entrepreneurs, young innovators with bright ideas that can support the energy transition to access the market.
Anything that has to do with innovation seeks to help and promote and support young people. So it's always good to have programs like this, like the Global Clean Tech Innovation.
Net zero carbon emission by 2060 is what the federal government aims to achieve, and Nigeria is one of the countries where Global Clean Tech Innovation Program implementation is underway. The country is creating an enabling environment for SMEs, young entrepreneurs, and innovators to thrive, as the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation is throwing its full weight behind the project.
It's bringing, repositioning the young people on the path to green growth globally. That's major advantage.
If we're able to do that, not only are we going to see bigger companies that can help to contribute to creating jobs, but we're also going to see companies that can help to innovate and perhaps change the future of energy.
The Global Clean Tech Innovation Program is expected to focus on energy efficiency, renewable energy, green buildings, transportations, amongst others. In Lagos, Kehinde Adebisi, NTA News.
And despite the increasing risks, evidence abounds that many desperate Nigerians are still enmeshed in the illegal drug business. It is, however, heartwarming that relevant authorities are now more than ever taking their responsibilities serious while taking bold steps to contain the drug scourge. Hengino John Adams takes a look at measures adopted by relevant authorities in reducing drug menace in the society.
In recent time, there have been several seizures of illicit drugs by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) and the Nigeria Customs Service in different parts of the country. Not too long ago, the NDLEA intercepted at least 294,440 tablets of tramadol along with other illicit drugs in major operations in Delta, Bauchi, and the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The availability of these drugs and the frequency with which they get circulated is a major threat to the sanity of the society.
Anybody who sees another person and shoots him must be feared by something. So those are some of the things within the society that begin to see as consequences.
However, nothing can be too much to fight the illicit drug business. As it stands, issues relating to drug abuse have increased the public health and security challenges.
Age bracket of 18 to 39, which are considered to be worst users. These are ages that should be working very frantically and very powerfully to develop the growth and development of a nation. And if those age brackets are venturing into drugs, that is to say, Nigeria is losing their workforce.
A future where our younger population is hooked on drugs is too scary to imagine, and as such, the campaign against drug abuse is one that should attract the attention of not only the government but all stakeholders in the Nigerian project. In Lagos, Inginu John Adams, NTA News.
And those are the stories from the City of Excellence. But let's remind you that you can follow this news broadcast on all our social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. And so Elizabeth is back to you in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Adela. And we're not done with the campaign against drug abuse yet. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Akwa Ibom State Command, has destroyed a total of 2.768 tons of illicit drugs exhibits seized between 2014 to September 2021. Kelvin Samuel tells us more.
Akwa Ibom State Governor, represented by his deputy, commended the effort of the agency in minimizing the flow of illicit drugs into the state, while assuring the state government's willingness to partner the NDLA and other security agencies in the fight against drug abuse, which, according to him, is at the center of most crimes in the society.
I believe that the current achievements of the Marawa-led NDLA are only a tip of the iceberg of what can be achieved with improved funding. Added to the legendary capacity of the present head of the agency, adequate funding will enable the NDLEA to procure needed work tools and effect the envisaged revolution in our fight against unhealthy drug use.
Chairman National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, represented by the Secretary Shedrack Haruna, says the agency will continue to live up to its mandate in line with Section 3, Subsection 1 of the NDLA Act, which mandates it to take measures for the destruction of seized narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, having secured an order from the Federal High Court in Uyo to publicly burn all illicit drug exhibits.
We have had about 80,940 arrests and then secured 2,904 convictions, with 12,356 of these people who were arrested, cancelled, rehabilitated.
The exhibits destroyed include cannabis, cocaine, heroin, and psychotropic substances. In Uyo, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
Time to join our colleague in Maiduguri for more reports on Nationwide. Over to you, Abubakar.
It's always nice to see you, Elizabeth, and thank you for joining us here. Let's begin with issues that have to do with agriculture. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has reiterated commitment to resuscitation of farming activities in the state as part of post-insurgency recovery efforts. The governor stressed the commitment during routine visit to farmlands for on-the-spot assessment of progress being made by farmers so far along Dambua and Bama Maiduguri roads. Mohammed Goni completes the story.
Governor Wagana Omar Azilim had in the last 2 weeks dropped a distance of about 60 kilometers to farmlands along Maiduguri-Dikwa Road to assess the level of farming activities on the axis and interacted with farmers who assured him that all is well with them. As a follow-up to the earlier visit, the governor was again on Domboa Road up to Dolwa, assessing farming activities and interacting with the farmers, and was impressed with the improvement in farming activities. He also interacted with the military personnel on the security situation of the area and sundry issues. Professor Zulum proceeded to Bama Road on a similar mission, where he also walked through Kanduga town and interacted with residents as well as traders who lamented that the gates are not open in time to allow passage to farmlands and lack drugs in the hospital. Governor Zulum pledged to take off the matter with the military and provide drugs and other consumables to the hospitals, and visited the General Hospital Kanduga for on-the-spot assessment. While addressing journalists, Governor Zulum said he of farming activities and the challenges confronting farmers, expressing satisfaction with what he saw in all the farms visited so far.
The only way we can address the challenges of insurgency is to ensure that the community will earn their means of livelihood by themselves.
He assured to create more mega farms and provide support to enable farmers cultivate more farmlands as part of efforts to return people to their normal lives. At newly resettled Malari community, Governor Wagana Omara lauded resilience of the community and assured to provide them with basic amenities and livelihood support, and further enjoin them to return to farming activities. Meanwhile, Governor Wagana Omara has frowned at the heavy-duty trailers along Bama Maiduguri Road carrying loads above the approved tons and directed detaining the vehicles, as government will not condone damages being done to the ongoing reconstruction of the road. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Away from that, now to focus attention on education, Borno State Commissioner for Education, Engineer Lawan Abba Wakilbi, says government will not condone any breach of acceptable guidelines among private schools operating in the state. This came up during a meeting between the Education Commissioner and proprietors of private schools held at Government Day Technical Secondary School, Jimtilo, in Maiduguri. Here are more details of the story.
The Borno State Ministry of Education had in recent times been carrying out some reforms aimed at restructuring the system of teaching and learning within both public and private schools in the state. This meeting between the Commissioner for Education, Engineer Lawan Abba Wakilbi, and proprietors of private schools designed to curb the proliferation, unveiling guidelines for accreditation and re-accreditation of private schools is in line with government's ongoing reforms towards putting the system of education on the path of greatness. During an elaborate presentation via the PowerPoint medium, the Education Commissioner spelled out laid down guidelines for all the proprietors, including an announcement on window for accreditation and re-accreditation, which he explained must be done between now and Friday, 30th December 2022 to avoid penalty.
I rolled out several state laws from 1994 right up to 2017 to 18. So we expect them to adhere with the guidelines and the state laws accordingly.
The principals are expected to pay their new accreditation fees through the State Board of Internal Revenue.
And those are the latest stories. For now, from Maiduguri, let us at this point return to Elizabeth in Abuja for the next set of stories for us on Nationwide.
Thank you so much, Abubakar. The paucity of indigenous authored books for Nigerian tertiary level has been a challenge hoping to contain with in view of the effect of dependency on culture. It is in this regard that the 10 TED Fund sponsored books have been unveiled in Abuja to promote the culture of Nigerian books in higher institutions of learning. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
Good to the detriment of local ones permit almost every sphere of Nigerian life. Publications are not spared. Apart from consequences of pressure on demand for foreign exchange, Nigerian authors are rendered irrelevant with their economic status nosediving. These are what TED Fund's Higher Education Book Development Project, the brain behind the publication of the first 10 books conceptualized since 2014, seek to address.
It is therefore expected that nurturing the culture of quality authorship and production of indigenous books will not only ensure the availability of relevant books, but will also safeguard national pride.
That's what is not only building hostels, it's not only building structures, but it's also helping the academia have educational materials that are Nigerian owned, that we can easily relate with.
The TETFON Technical Advisory Group TAG operates essentially in three areas: publication of books, support for academic journals, and the establishment and sustainable management of academic publishing centers.
Before the end of this year, all the 7 academic publishing centers will be fully operational. And by next year, we will publish 50.
More sharing news is, so far, 77 manuscripts have passed through vigorous review processes for publication, and before the year runs out, additional 30 books will be rolled out to the public under the TETFON project to change the whole order. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Away from learning, Nigeria has launched a carbon emission market strategy which provides policy recommendations that will guide the national transition of a green economy. Onenge Fine-Face reports that this is a demonstration of the nation's commitment to net zero carbon emissions by 2060.
26 in Glasgow, President Muhammadu Buhari announced Nigeria's net zero target of 2060. Several policies have been initiated to achieve this target, the latest being the Emissions Trading Scheme, ETS, which is a market-based approach used in the reduction of human-induced greenhouse gas emissions, especially carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. Also known as cap and trade, the ETS is a cost-effective way of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and for Nigeria, focus is on sectors in which emissions are said to be shooting up, including transport, energy, and construction.
Nigeria cannot afford to ignore the possibilities of generating upwards of 250 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually, amounting to an estimated value in excess of $3 billion. The Federal Ministry of Environment is therefore poised to explore all options that are driven by our domestic realities and yet in tune with global benchmarks and best practices to ensure the development of a scheme that adds value to the environment, trigger bankable and commercial transactions, which will ultimately generate jobs.
With this launch, experts believe that Nigeria now has a powerful tool to build its response to climate change in a cost-effective way and meet its nationally determined contributions to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Onenge Fine-Face, NTA News.
And Jenny in our Port Harcourt Network Center has some stories for us. Hello, Jenny. Network Center has some.
Elizabeth, good evening and welcome. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has warned that the state government will no longer condone the disruption of construction work on the Andoni section of the Ogoni-Andoni-Opobo-Nkoro Unity Road project. The governor said his administration is determined to complete the Andoni section of the road just as it has already completed the Opobo section of the road before the end of his tenure. Ogedi reports.
Governor Wike said he is disappointed that construction of the Andoni section of the Unity Road has lingered for so long, not because of funding, but because the people of the area have failed to see the project as theirs. He warned that the state government will no longer tolerate harassment or kidnap of the contractor and his staff working on the project.
Let's actualize this road. Let's actualize this road project.
The governor explained that there has been a deliberate attempt to equitably spread developmental projects across the 23 local government area of the state, but he is worried that some unscrupulous persons in Andoni are frustrating the effort of the state government. Commissioner for Works, Rivers State, Alabo George Kelly explained that the total length of the road is 26 kilometers, out of which 10 kilometers have been executed, while 16 kilometers is outstanding.
Summarily, about 68% of the project has been concluded. Hitherto, 90% has been paid for.
The Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, Ikunyo Wajibani, and the Okama of Ikuru, King Aaron Ikuru, commended Governor Wike for his determination to complete the project and assured that the people of Andoni will not allow further disruption of the project.
We want to assure you, first of all, that we, the people of Andoni, will ensure that there will be no repeat performance of what happened in the past.
Managing Director of the construction firm, Eli Rafo, assured Governor Wike that the Andoni axis of the Unity Road will be completed within 7 months. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwere, NTA News.
At least 80 cartons of contaminated imported fishes have been destroyed by the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service after preliminary investigation revealed that they were unhealthy for human consumption. Kingsley Amajiri witnessed the disruption of the fishes imported by private businessmen that came via MV Guaruna to Port Harcourt.
Operatives of the agency were on a routine check of a vessel which brought in imported cartons of fishes into the country. In the course of offloading the contents, officials of the agency discovered that one of the compartments had hydraulic leakages, which spread across the contents. This resulted in the preliminary investigation to safeguard the health of the public.
As they opened the hatch, hydraulic came out of the door of the hatch. Now fell on about 51 cartons of it, so they evacuated it and kept it in the cold room. So after due consultation, we are asked to do the destruction.
With the laboratory test out, the agency, alongside other standard enforcement agencies in the maritime sector, embarked on this destruction exercise in line with regulatory requirements.
The fish were badly contaminated, so the vessel was detained, and then the following day reports were made, and the fish were handed over to us this morning. The captain did not want to release the fish at first, but for our insistence, that is why we are calling on other sister agencies to collaborate with us so that this work will be made easier. It's deep burial we are conducting. We have applied a lime and formaldehyde for the deep burial, and afterwards we are going to burn it with diesel. You can see the diesel.
Representatives of the Nigerian Shippers Council, DSS, ICPC, among others, witnessed the destruction exercise in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's it from Port Harcourt. It's now back to Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you, Jenny. You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. Let's take a break. The news continues shortly. Thanks for staying with the NTA. For more reports on Nationwide, let's join Felicia in our Jos Network Center.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Welcome to Jos. We begin with issues of persons with disabilities. Participants at a zonal sensitization on the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 are calling for more awareness of the law to ensure reasonable compliance. Cameron Kaneng-Ladoja reports that the sensitization holding in Jos has a necessity for ensuring full compliance with the law as its theme.
The Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 and other related laws was signed into law in 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari, but it is believed that awareness on the law is relatively low, which is why the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities organized the workshop.
We are sensitizing them and then getting them to understand their rights, and then so that in the event of any infringement, then they can come out to complain.
Ministers of Information and Culture, Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, all represented, were unanimous in their views that there is need for more sensitization of the law to ensure compliance.
We continually project positively to the public all activities of government using the various channels of communication at our disposal to engender grassroots awareness on the existence of the acts.
We set about to start with advocacy to all the relevant organizations and stakeholders that are involved, and then with the media to helping us to do that.
We are well read and educated. We should fit in every department of government workforce.
As a government, we are also making sure that the act is respected, not only by government agencies, but also by private companies.
Participants are drawn from the 7 North Central states and the FCT. In Jos, Ekemarin Kaning-Ladoja, NTA News.
To promote awareness on exclusive breastfeeding and infant nutrition, the United Nations Children's Fund Bauchi Field Office, in collaboration with Bauchi Radio Corporation, brought together journalists from 5 states to brainstorm on how to strengthen their capacity in child-focused reporting in Jos. Ndenyang and Dayabagyang reports that the event is in commemoration of World Breastfeeding Day, with the theme Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support.
Worried by the low indices of infant nutrition, especially exclusive breastfeeding, the UNICEF Bauchi Field Office, together with Bauchi Radio Corporation, brought journalists from Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Plateau, and Taraba States for a media dialogue. The dialogue is to promote awareness on exclusive breastfeeding and infant nutrition, strengthen the capacity of the media, plus child-focused reporting, and promoting safe exclusive breastfeeding in the COVID-19 era.
This media dialogue has exposed some of us about exclusive breastfeeding.
The media could be able to galvanize action between all the needed stakeholders. Ethical reporting in child programming, myth about breastfeeding in COVID-19 era, communication basis on exclusive breastfeeding and infant nutrition were extensively discussed.
The indices are below 20%. You need to do more to get to at least 50%. There is so much work to do.
People need proper information from the multifaceted approaches. The media has the greater role.
The dialogue also afforded the journalists opportunity to interact with mothers at the Primary Healthcare Center in Jos South and General Hospital Toro in Bauchi State, where issues of exclusive breastfeeding and malnutrition were looked into with the intent of ensuring benefits are understood by mothers and caregivers. In Jos, Ndenyang and Dayabagyang, NTA News.
Those are the reports from here. Elizabeth is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Thank you, Felicia. Towards building capacity for effective leadership qualities to enhance good governance, public service officers across the country are brainstorming at a 5-day conference in Calabar. Erica Ivy reports that the Leadership Capacity Building Conference is at the instance of Sevicom in collaboration with the House Committee on Governmental Affairs.
Of Sevicom's mandate of ensuring that the principles of good governance are upheld and public institutions deliver services suitable for the public. Warranted 5-day conference to enhance leadership capacity for high performance in public sector. The stakeholders who speak on excellence in public service delivery in Nigeria, citizen-centered public service, and effective oversight as a tool for good governance, encourage participants to always work towards improving organizational performance.
To discuss and come up with emerging issues, to identify the gaps, and then also to provide solutions and recommendations.
We talk about the challenges of in public service delivery, and also provide solutions and strategies to surmounting those challenges.
Participants were drawn from different government parastatals across the country.
Services should be accessible and should be of high quality.
Leadership empowerment, repositioning those of us that are leaders in the public sector.
Expectation is that after the 5-day technical session, participants will be able to understand the correlation between leadership and performance, as well as imbibe the principles of effective leadership. In Calabar, Erika Ivi, NTA News.
And the 9th Niger State Chief Justice Halima Ibrahim Abdulmalik has been sworn in following her confirmation by the state legislature. Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, who presided over the event, charged the new judge to carry out her duties without fear or favor. Hussein Amusa reports.
That was the 9th substantive Niger State Chief Judge Halima Ibrahim Abdulmalik taking the oath of office and allegiance. Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, who congratulated the newly sworn-in Chief Judge, said with her antecedents, he has a conviction that she will deliver her duties diligently.
It's a very difficult task. We work very hard. I think we'll see a better judicial system in Niger State.
I therefore pledge my honor that I will do my best to put the state judiciary on a higher pedestal.
The new Chief Judge, Justice Halima Ibrahim Abdulmalik, also said she will ensure the overhauling of the workings of the judiciary for an effective service delivery through digitalization and automated judicial system. Justice Halima Ibrahim Abdulmalik was born on the 11th March 1966 in Zaria, Kaduna State, and obtained her primary and secondary education in Kano before proceeding to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where she obtained her first degree certificate. She went to Nigerian Law School, Lagos, and thereafter began her career in 1989 as a state counsel with the Niger State Ministry of Justice. In Mena, Hussein Musa, NTA News.
Next is sports updates.
The Nigerian Football Federation has confirmed the replay of the 2022 IT Cup quarter-final matches at various centers across the country. Niger Tornadoes meets Lobby Stars, Heartland welcomes Katsina United, Kogi United takes on Kano Pillars, while Wiki Tourist squares up against Nasarawa United. To volleyball, 10 youth volleyball clubs in Lagos State participated at this year's edition of the Samaritan Feet Summer Slam program, which ended at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos. The grassroots program featured beginners program and a training competition, which lasted for a week. The program was in two categories, on the 13th and on the 15th, for boys and girls.
Using this one to groom the children from the beginning, from different hopes that they have futures in volleyball.
Still on grassroots sports, former Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai has organized the third edition of its summer grassroots sports clinic for schools in Lagos. The former Nigerian captain says the focus is to nurture talents from the schools by educating them on the rudiments of the game so as to make them better players in the future. They were also taught basketball and taekwondo.
We impact something meaningful through sports, using sports as a tool to teach them values.
In basketball, ahead of the fourth window of the FIBA Africa World Cup qualifiers, the power rankings for the competition has been released. 12 teams are competing for the 5 places allocated to Africa. According to the rankings, Nigeria's D Tigers are placed 5th. Now to grassroots golf, Ikoyi Golf Club have emerged the winner of the maiden edition of the Western Golf Challenge. They defeated 12 other teams from the Western region with 335 cumulative score points over 2 days to win the first prize.
Is an added value to the development of the game.
We intend going to the schools to have the cadets.
Kadir Aminu of Timilorin won the longest drive prize award, while Yusuf Adamu of Ekiti Golf Club smiled home with the prize for the nearest to the pinhole 15. With sports update, Gift George, NTA News.
Sports update with Gift George ends nationwide today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join the campaign against rape and rapists. I'm Elizabeth Omori.